Today's guest is someone I've admired from a distance and now up close for a long time. Olivia Apps is the captain of Canada's national rugby team. But what sets her apart isn't just her insane athleticism, leadership, or resume, which speaks for itself. It's the way she shows up. She is relentless in the pursuit of becoming the best version of herself, not for the podium or the spotlight, but so she can lead with presence, purpose, and authenticity. She built respect and trust with her teammates by doing the hard work, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I find that kind of leadership rare and incredibly inspiring. I learned so much in this conversation, from performance mindset to team culture to what it really takes to lead in both the wins and the setbacks. Whether you're an athlete, a leader, or just figuring yourself out, this episode is full of gold. So without further ado, Olivia Apps, welcome to Daylilie Diaries. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you for having me.
As an athlete, learning from other athletes, we have so much respect and time for you. So this is huge for me and for people who are interested, who I know will learn a lot. So thank you. I was in Vancouver 4 weeks ago. It was sick to see rugby there.
They did a good job of really marketing the tournament this year. And because it was focused on the women, because the men aren't part of the World Series anymore, it was really cool to see female rugby players everywhere. People messaged me like, I saw you on the SkyTrain. I saw you on the bus. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't even know. And then there's cutouts. My mom shows up at the airport. There's a cutout of me at the airport. It's like, look who's here. I had no idea. So that was cool for sure.
Yeah. You were there to greet them. They didn't even know.
Yeah.
So many people went over to watch the games. My entire stories, I was like, I don't even have to watch the game. I can just watch it through this because everybody was there in the stands. And I was like, this is sick. Okay. First question. You're currently the face of Rugby Canada. So we think it's fitting if you could possibly explain Rugby 7s, Rugby 15s in 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, Rugby 15s is traditional rugby that you'd probably see in high school. Rugby 7s is half the amount of people on the field, but the same size field, but the games are only 14 minutes long. It's a full contact sport, but you pass the ball backwards and you're trying to score what's called a try, which maybe is like a touchdown. Games are either 80 minutes or, like I said, 14 minutes. So the team that I play on mostly is 7s, and it's a lot of sprinting, a lot of tackles, and just a lot of impressive athleticism, doing all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah, that's perfect. When we spoke to Kiara, she told us about how y'all are monitored with those GPSs and just how much running you do. And then obviously when you watch a game and you see the athleticism and you see the power, it really is a magnificent sport and it's magnificent to watch. Very cool. Okay. What is one rule or concept in your sport that people always get wrong?
I feel like people just compare it to American football and think it's the same when it's really not at all. Yes, they're both contact sports, but just because they're both on a field and their contact doesn't mean that they're the same at all. And I think that rugby is a very tactical game. Football, you either play attack or defense, whereas rugby, you're playing everything. And there's turnovers of possession all the time, and you have to be able to defend as well as you attack and vice versa, which a lot of people don't understand at first. We wear no equipment. People are surprised about, which is fair because it's full contact, but also it's also not the same to football in that sense because the contact is way different than football.
I must ask, what are the headgears that I see sometimes? It's almost like a cushioning.
Yeah, so that's called a scrum cap. And the purpose of it, mainly it's for head protection and ear protection, because especially in 15s, a lot of scrums, which is when you see the people going to each other in that big pile and they kind of push against each other, they get what's called cauliflower ear, which is basically your ears look puffed up. The scrum cap protects ears from more collision because if you play for a long time, ears are actually a big place where they get a lot of impact because the way you tackle and just the way the sport is. So people wear it for different reasons, for safety, if they want that extra bit of padding. I split my head open one year and I had to wear it because I had fresh stitches. So you just wear it as an extra impact thing.
Interesting. I didn't think it was for cauliflower ear. I honestly thought it was a concussion thing that they'd come up with. But yeah, that makes total sense. That cauliflower is brutal. What is the most underrated part of your sport?
Underrated? I would say the conditioning element with contact. People think burpees are hard, doing a burpee, but then also hitting somebody or getting hit, then getting off the ground and sprinting, and just the pace of the game with the contact element, I think is really underrated. You play attack and defense. You're not just making one tackle, then you're off the field. You're making 3 tackles. And then maybe you're scoring a try, you're chasing someone back, and then you have the ball. So that element is really unique and I think underrated. And for both 15s and 7s, it's a critical part of the game that I think is really impressive.
Visually, a burpee and then getting tackled is terrifying. A, burpees are punishment. B, getting tackled punishment. You put them together, you call it rugby.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's a good summary.
So what is one thing that you either train or compete with that you can't train without?
Ooh. That I can't train without. Like a skin, like a long sleeve. Because we play contact sport and sometimes we're playing on turf, like turf burn. So like road rash or turf burn is like happens a lot. It's very common. And I need to wear skins, like long sleeves to protect my skin because I've gotten so much turf burn over the years that my skin never really heals. So I kind of have to have one of those. Like if I don't have one of those for training or for a tournament, I'm feeling a little bit stressed.
That's a good one. There's a special place in pain for turf burn. Does it scar?
Yeah, it does scar. Like if you can, it just depends on how big it is. Like I have one teammate who got turf burn and then got sunburnt so bad, and now she has like the craziest dark patch on her shoulder that like it's tricky because you need to keep playing, but then it just like never really heals because it's open and it's cut up.
Well, good thing you got your lungs on then, yeah. Okay, nicknames. A nickname either for yourself or a teammate that everyone kind of knows and either they're only referred to it or it's a reference to a funny thing that happened once.
Well, it's kind of funny because I have this thing where I will take a word or two words and I become obsessed and I'll use it as a noun, a verb, an adjective, whatever. So, for example, the last little while, probably like 2 years or something, I've been saying orbit because you could be in someone's orbit. You could be orbiting, which is like hanging around. You could be orbiting, like you're stressed or you're pissed about something. So you're orbiting. And it ended up just becoming this word that replaces all words. Like you're an orbit head and you're orbiting somewhere like over there. So now people just call me orbit, or I use the term rig, like like a truck or like an oil rig. I'll call somebody a rig. Be like, oh, that's like kind of a rig thing to do, or like, what's up, rig? So now everybody just calls me rig because I say rig a lot. So I just like become the name that I end up using. I'm orbit and I'm rig and I'm just whatever.
So when you refer to someone as a rig, what would that like? Like I think that's then like a unit, like that person's strong and is like a.
It could be. It could be. It could easily be like, oh, you're a rig. You're a strong built person. And it can also be a term of endearment. And it could also be like, you're a goof, you're a silly person, you're a rig. So it just honestly just takes on all forms. And that's kind of the impossible part is when people are like, what does that mean? Like, I actually don't really know if I can tell you. It's all contextual.
Whatever you want it to mean. Okay, next one. Fact or fiction? One fact and one made up story from your sports career, and I have to guess which one is which.
Okay, I went on a team trip for a rugby tournament and partied too hard that I missed my flight the next day. Or I've split my head open probably 7 times in the last 10 years.
I mean, I definitely hope the head splitting did not happen, but I also kind of hope you partied so hard you missed the flight. But I don't think you partied too hard you missed the flight.
Correct. That's correct.
Such an athlete.
Such an athlete. Such an athlete. I wish that was me one time, but I'm too organized. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't happen, but I wish it did just once.
Just once. But alas, you are where you are for reasons, and that would probably be one of them. Well, last one on the fun side of things, superstitions. Do you have a superstition or something you need to do before a game?
I feel like I used to have more. I don't know about you, but like as you like the longer you compete, the more your process just becomes more relaxed in a way, I guess. I used to have like music I needed to listen to and like I would do certain visualization and whatever and I would feel like ready for the game. But now it's less so. Like I definitely need music, but I'm just more relaxed. But I just need to warm up my body. If I don't warm up well, like if I don't do certain exercises to warm up, then I'm not feeling ready for the game mentally. So I definitely need to get my body to a place. If I don't have my mini band and I'm not able to do that part of my warm up, I get a little bit like stressed.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, everyone should be doing that. So healthy suggestion to have a superstition.
So I'm curious to know like what if people that we play against or on the team, like if they have superstitions because I just don't see them anymore. Like we don't really talk about it. So I don't really know how common it is. And maybe in like basketball or like, I don't know.
I think for sure tennis and golf, when it's so psychological, maybe it's in more sports that are start finish. Your sport is ongoing points like stop, go, hit, run. But in sports like track and field where it's start line, finish line.
There, that's a good point with the psychological performance sports, with golfing especially. Yeah. Man.
They're out there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my. Well, I'm a learning. Okay. But that being said, I'm really excited to talk to you about you in rugby. How you get selected, how you get positions on the team, what that sort of looks like from the inside, because we will never know
Mhm.
on the outside. So for the people who are listening who aren't familiar with how rugby seasons work and how selection works, and you're playing for Team Canada, but you can also be playing for a professional team. How does the Olympic selection process work? And when people are selected, how many alternates end up actually making it on the team?
Rugby's a little unique because we don't have a professional league. Like it's like different to soccer or hockey where you play for the national team, then you go play for your pro teams throughout the season. We have a team of about like 20, 24, 25 of us that are centralized in Victoria. And so we would train like all year round with different times being off throughout the year because our season runs from December until June. So what's called the World Series, where you have 8 tournaments that are international throughout the year, Vancouver Sevens being one of them. And you basically have a training squad of like 24 people ish, and then 13 or 14 players get selected for a tour. And then 12 players actually dress. So every tournament you have two alternates, really, which are called like your 13th and 14th players that can enter in the tournament before if there's an injury, or one player can enter during the tournament if there's an injury. So that's the season. And then for Olympic selection, it's just like another tour. So the squad gets selected 2 weeks before a tournament. And with the Olympics, it's a month before the tournament. So if I'm thinking about Paris, we had our group of 24 players. And I think a month before Paris, we get our squad of 14. And then with announcing the alternates at that time as well. You can basically go until the end, closer to the end of the season with a good idea of where you're at in the team.
Gotcha.
Like if you're a consistent starter, how many minutes you're playing, if you're not playing minutes, if you've been in and out of selection all season, you'll get an idea. And then by the time the Olympic selection rolls around, hopefully it's not a surprise for majority of players, but you're going to have those bubble players that it really depends, I think, on the profile of the team and who's been performing leading up to that point and all those things. So yeah, it's intense. It's intense leading up to the final days for sure.
That's crazy. That is very hard for a lot of people to probably digest because you think, again, Olympic athlete, rugby player, be fit, be strong, be good, you're in. But I mean, your team is so outspoken about the culture within and how you've harnessed the power of that for so long. It only makes sense that you also would need to fit a very specific criteria of who you are as a teammate. The team is fascinating, and it's just not about being your best. It's about being the best for the team. I think that's probably what makes it so strong for you guys. And having proof in the pudding, obviously, with the Paris Games, it's really cool to see that work out really well. But we do want to go back to Tokyo and just ask you about that experience because June 2021, you were named as an alternate. You're the captain. That's like an associate going immediately to the CEO. What was that like? How did you do that?
Yeah, that's a good analogy for sure. Associate to CEO. It was heartbreaking being named alternate because you want to be part of that 12. It ended up kind of working out in the end because last minute they decided that they were going to actually do 13 instead of 12 because of COVID. So it ended up being alternate, but also I was part of the Olympic team, which was nice in the end, but mentally knowing that you're the alternate is tough. Going into the next season as captain was mixed because I was really excited for the role. I felt like I was ready for it because I wanted to be a leader and I knew that I was a strong leader. And this season before, I'd been part of the leadership group and like I knew I was getting mentored to be a stronger leader down the road. Obviously, Tokyo happened. We came ninth. It was really devastating. And then we lost 2/3 of that Olympic team. So what I thought was going to be really exciting and fun ended up just being a lot of fishing in the dark. When I look back now, I'm so appreciative of that experience because I think it made me into the leader I am today, facing all those challenges and learning more about myself. But in the moment, I definitely was like, ooh, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, you kind of visualize being team captain and like the glory that has or that status, I guess. But it's really, really, really hard. And it was really hard at that time. And there were so many supports that I had throughout that with the coach, with the staff, The first season I was co-captain with one of my teammates, and that was really great. She was a big support. It's a mixed bag, and in the moment you don't really know what you're learning. You're really not able to process. You're just kind of putting up fires, figuring it out. And I was really fortunate, I think, to go into that role having a clear idea of the leader I wanted to be. And I think that that helped me to stay true to that throughout all the challenges and like all the years leading into Paris. I was able to fall back on those values and that guiding light in a way, when at times it felt like really confusing and scary.
What are those values? What's your anchor?
For me, my anchor was being an authentic person and leader and creating a space where my teammates felt like they could approach me about anything. I want to be an approachable, authentic leader and just continue to be the same person that I was as a player, and creating an environment that felt safe for people to be able to trust in me as a leader and as a person, and just having that support for them to be able to express themselves on the field. Believing that if we continue to focus on our team culture and focus on creating a safe environment, that will eventually create a dynamic on the field that is really special and allow us to perform at our absolute best if we feel really safe and empowered off field.
Not everyone is cut out for that approach. Honest to God, not every athlete can handle authenticity and can handle having to be their full self at practice and for games. How do you help athletes who are either struggling or just don't have it in them, but yet still bring something to the team? How have you navigated different personalities to fit that culture?
For the first year, at least, it was a lot about how can the culture fit the team and what is this team, before trying to create this box of what I want us to be or what I ideally want us to look like. Let's actually see what naturally happens and what this team creates on their own. In some ways, I was like, control, I want to make sure that it's the way I want it to be. And that was hard, just to let go and see how it goes. And for context, this team was really young. They were 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, very young group. So there was also challenging that professional side of sport, where before I was the younger player with 30-year-olds who had already been to Rio, had a bronze medal, knew what it meant to be a professional athlete. And then I'm boom, with these 20-year-olds who don't know anything. And there was the balance of, hey guys, we need to be professional, and hey guys, also let's have fun.
Yes.
They taught me a lot about the fun part, for sure, which I think, honestly, them just being who they were allowed me to learn so much from them. And I saw that sport could look different. I saw that performance could look different. And then from there, I was able to kind of take it and go with it a bit more. They kind of made it on their own. And I think also the leadership you have in place, not just myself, but the other leaders and the staff, it comes from the top down. So if you the way that you treat each other, the way that you're interacting on a daily basis, and the way that you show up does create the vibe of the group, which people then will see what's okay to do and what's not okay to do just by the example that people are leading.
Yeah, it's so true. Every sport goes through cycles of winning and losing. Once you've been around for so long, you can walk into an environment and kind of see the writing on the wall for either direction, and it will either pull you in or push you out because you don't want to be a part of it. That's something that is so underrated about being on a team and being in a team environment, is that it's not just about what you personally bring every single day. It has to do so much with what there is to come to and leave with. Shifting culture is way bigger than anyone gives it credit for. I'd like to talk about before Paris and leading into Paris. Y'all were ranked 9th in the world at that point.
We
and
were.
yeah, got silver. How did you go from 9th to silver? How did you find that within yourselves? And what did it look like from the inside when you were slowly chipping away and then pushed through at the end there?
The summer before Paris, we had kind of one of those, I want to say it's like a come to Jesus moment, but it's not. It was myself and the staff, and we were like, how do we need to go get onto a podium next summer in Paris? Right now, we are nowhere near that. What do we need to do? And a lot of it came down to a lot of individual behaviors and uplifting our standards in the group. And that it's easy. You obviously need to, if you want a gold medal, you need to behave like a gold medalist, and you need to do all these behavioral things. And we had to change some of those things because we just weren't hitting the standards that we needed to. But it's just interesting because the season itself, leading into Paris, we had a lot of firsts. We finally made it to our first semifinal. We finally got our bronze at home. And it was just so many firsts that year. For so long, we were like, I'm trusting the process. and then you finally see that it's working. And so that just ignites the fire and keeps the confidence going. But it definitely didn't happen overnight. And we shifted our training drastically that summer before to say, okay, if we want to be in the podium, we need to train harder, we need to train smarter, we need to do these things. The whole team was bought in because they realized, hey, we're not anywhere close to where we want to be. So everybody lifted up their standards and we elevated in every way. And honestly, it was a buy-in from the whole team. And I think that's really what triggered the season that we had. And going into Paris, the funny thing is that we didn't have pressure from anybody that we were going to podium. And we talked about it going into Paris because we could tell, like myself and the other leaders, we could tell going into our camp and everything that people were feeling nervous and that it was the Olympics and it was here. And a lot of these players, they're 21 years old, they're 22 years old, and they're going to their first games. And so myself and one of the other experienced leaders, we just had a meeting and we're like, hey guys, we've already accomplished a lot this year. We've accomplished a lot of firsts, and whatever happens in these games doesn't define the success that we've had this year and the growth that we've had in this group. And the pressure for us to perform isn't there. Like it's not, everybody's waiting for New Zealand and Australia and France to win. And we can go out there and enjoy ourselves because we've already had so many wins, and we can be so proud of where we've come to and like so proud of our process. And I think that from the vibe I got, that relieves some stress for people because yes, we got a bronze that year. Yes, we had the opportunity to win, but we already have done a lot of amazing things, and we've turned this culture around, and we've done something that a lot of people didn't think we would. So now we can go out there and just play for ourselves and play for, what we do every day and like the integrity that we have in our program. I think in the end of the day, the pressure got a lot of other teams that tournament and it didn't get us. And so it allowed us to step into that final.
It's wild to hear that because the Olympic Games, you're constantly told it's just another tournament. It's just another race. It's not at all. It's like, that's it. There is that's it. And it's so much, especially as a young athlete, to no matter how much you tell yourself as an individual athlete, like it's not a big deal. I can do it. It takes a leader to sit down and have the team come together and say, look at what we've done. And not even say, look at what we've done, we can do anything, but look at what we've done, we should be so proud, and have that pride ignite a performance, because that's the Olympic Games. That's what those games demand out of you. They demand a prideful, take it, I'm here, I don't care attitude. And that's who it rewards. And so to know that's what happened is so cool, because that's what you hope happens. You went from a ninth and then a gradual year of growth to Olympic silver medal. I would assume you didn't miraculously get stronger. You didn't add 1,000 new plays that you hadn't had before. It's all up here. And so with that mindset and with the adversity, you said that adversity created a mindset within the team that's now unstoppable. So going into the next season, the next coming tournaments, what lessons are you going to hold within your own team culture to sort of guide that mindset is everything attitude?
The biggest takeaway I had from the last quad to Paris was that it's so cheesy, but it's true. Like every misstep is serving you for some time down the road. And like every failure is an opportunity to learn and grow. And that not like, it was so easy for a tournament, if we came 11th or if we came 7th, to take that and say, we're not good enough. We're not this, we're not that. But actually, all of those moments allowed us to become so much stronger and learn and show up when we needed to show up. Especially for this year, it's a foundational year. It's first year of a quad. We have a lot of firsts again. We have a lot of newer players coming in. We're giving players experience because we need to. We need to grow our depth. We need to give people opportunities. And it's not going to be perfect at all. It's still easy to fall back into that performance mindset where you're like, I just want to perform. I want to perform all the time. And we were a silver medalist team, so we need to perform. We need to hit that standard. And yes, we do. Like, we have that standard. But also, not meeting that standard doesn't mean that we're not good or we're worthless or somewhere in between. That's a great perspective. This is all going to have its purpose one day. When I see that I'm not sure, someone said to me, I forget who it was, they were like, I don't care if you're fast in February. They care at the Olympics. And the point of why I do it, why I want to do another quad and play rugby, is because of the process and the journey. and not thinking about the Olympics or like this and that, because if that was it, it would just be rough. That you get to that point and it's not what you want it to be, which could very well happen, like very well happen. I want to be able to look back on the journey and be like, yeah, that was awesome. I have no regrets. I enjoyed every minute of it and I have so much to be proud of. So that is what I learned in the last quad, and that's kind of what I'm taking to this group. And I think that they know it too, because this team had a lot of rough moments in the last 3 years, a lot of rough moments. And the challenges obviously make you stronger, as everybody says. And like, it's true. It's true, because now we know how to pick each other up in the worst moments and also know how to celebrate the good moments.
And such lessons that you can't learn without going through them. That is just the tough reality. Speaking of things we've gone through, would like to touch into the whole ACL injury that you ACLs are typically a never come back from kind of situation. And at one point there was a chance you'd miss the Olympics. How did you come out maybe better after it, or if not, hopefully at least the same? I mean, it takes so much strength to rehab an injury like that. So can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, ACLs are brutal for sure. And it's also unfortunate to see how many female players are getting ACLs these days. I feel like it's very common. When I tore my ACL, it was just around a year before the 2020 Olympics. So when I heard that I tore my ACL, I cried, because that was like mourning myself going to the Olympics, like mourning my Olympic dream. So I was sad for it for a second, like not for a second, for probably like a few days, and then realized like, well, hang on, I will have time to come back. It'll be short, but I have time. So if there's anybody that's going to make that window and show up 3 months before the Olympic selection and make it, it's going to be me, and I'm going to make sure of that. And so my mindset really like changed really fast. And I think I'm someone that like, I really like a challenge, and I just enjoy the underdog mentality. I had that to be my goal, because I needed to push myself and get through the rehab. It's just the only choice I really had. I could sit and be upset or sit and mourn my Olympic dream, but it just wasn't an option for me. Which honestly is credit to so much support that I had. All the staff, my S&C coach, my best friends, and like my family exciting me, like, you could do it. You could do it. If you believe that you can, then like, let's go and let's just try. And it honestly is too bad that, in a way, it's like too bad that COVID came, even though it did give me an extended year to really get myself healthy. So thank you for COVID for that. But also, in a way, I think I was ready. By the time that I came back, I was like, I could push Olympic selection, but then COVID happened. But it's challenging. It's challenging for sure. But I honestly think it's one of those rehabs that athletes that go through long-term rehabs, honestly, I feel like 9 out of 10 times they come out stronger than they were before, mentally and physically. And it's like a mental experience that you wouldn't actually get otherwise. And I'm very fortunate for it, because I learned a lot about myself, and I learned how to see the game differently. I just learned how to really depend on myself and find resiliency. I think athletes need resiliency. And if we don't get those opportunities, then I don't know, it's harder. It's harder because you're not as resilient. And then I think it just makes you a better player.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. There's nothing like getting an injury. And I've said this from my own personal experience, but when you get an injury, that takes you from being so fit, so scheduled, so monitored, so dialed. And it's like, you can't just put a Band-Aid on it and go back out. Like, you're done. Like, you're fully dependent on your support team. You're dependent on doctors. Your routine is gone out the window. Your purpose is gone. And so to be able to get through that, more so to what you said, the long-term side of it, you have to rethink about everything. And then you come back with this almost bigger fire of your why, because it's like, well, I'll be damned if that's going to stop me. Like, you can't teach it. It has to be experienced, and you're taking that and you're sharing it. And a lot of people won't do that because they don't want to make a woe is me story. And that's not all what you're doing. You're saying, okay, this is what leadership, determination, dedication looks like, because I've lived it. So that's very, very cool to see. And something else that I wanted to ask is, you were talking earlier about how your new teammates or your younger teammates taught you how to have like fun and bring fun into the culture. And I'm so curious as to what your definition or what your team's definition of fun is.
I think for starters, they don't take themselves too seriously, and they don't take the job too seriously. At times, I wish they did take it a bit more seriously, and like, they've grown throughout the years for sure. But life is too short to take it as seriously as I think I was, and having these expectations of yourself and this like idea of perfection. as an athlete of how you want it to be, they were just like, hang on, we're just playing rugby. We're just playing what we've always played. And it's not a perfect sport at all. And we make mistakes, and we enjoy dancing before we practice, and we enjoy expressing ourselves however we want to. And a big part of that of our team is music and dancing and making fun of each other. If you don't have a tough skin on our team, it's going to be hard for you because we really make fun of each other, and everybody dishes it. Everybody dishes it and everybody takes it because that's just the way that it goes. And same with our staff too, which is nice. Everybody's equal in that sense. That's a big part of how we have fun. We work super hard, and then we also just have the most fun playing spike ball, listening to music, laughing, and the team bounces back from everything because they're like, well, it's whatever. We came seventh, but I had so much fun this tournament. Now we'll just try again, and I'll go back and I'll work harder. But I'm not miserable at home because I had a bad tournament. I still had so much fun in like the other days that I was there with my team, which I think is cool. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool because you go on tour for a week. You're in Hong Kong. Okay. You're there for 7 days. You play for 2 days. So less than half of your time there, you're actually playing. You're actually just having fun with your team and enjoying the world. And life is too short to just focus on the tournament. And if it doesn't go well, then everything sucks.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's all the little moments in between with your team that I've come to really appreciate.
Nice. Yeah. Finding a balance that is like self-serving in the sense that it opens your eyes and then probably playing better with it kind of thing. Because again, psychology, there's no way you have a good time off the field, then come onto the field and forget about everything that was fun. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
The last question about you here, this, and I'm also interested because you talk so much about how you're a leader and a player, but you're also really open about how you questioned yourself as a leader and a player. Mm-hmm. Is there a moment in your career that you've left that questioning behind? Like, or do you still have those days where you're like, oh, I just don't know if I'm made for this?
There were a lot of moments over the last 3 years where just when things are going right, and just you lose sight of the belief that you have when things don't go right for a while, and then you question things. And there are lots of those moments where I was like, am I the right person for this job? Am I a good leader the way that I think I am? Because things aren't working, so maybe it's me. You're always unsure. But it's funny because I feel like every challenge, every tournament that didn't go well, or tournaments that did go well, were all little like stones that, I don't know, built up to this belief. Our qualification tournament that happened last summer for Paris, where we played at home, and we qualified in front of friends and family at our home stadium. And there was this rush of the field after, where our whole program rushed the field when we won our game, and we'd qualified for Paris, and the whole team's rushing up players that weren't selected, players that were like passed from the program. Everybody just crowded together, and we all just cheered and celebrated. And even though it wasn't a close game, we were supposed to win that tournament. What it meant, and to see the joy in the team and seeing like the community of the team, not just the 12 players, but everybody being bought into that team, and everybody just being so happy, and the enjoyment that was on everybody's faces definitely was validating for me that we were doing something right, and that this team was strong and the foundation was there, and that it wasn't as fragile as it was before. Like, we had created something, and it was there to stay. And obviously feeling that contribution as a leader and seeing that in people's faces was validating for me, for sure. And I think a very special moment, because it's just like the enjoyment of the game, and for people to be able to be happy for the program, even if they weren't part of the team and all of that stuff. They're little things, but they go a long way. And we didn't always have that. So it was really special to see that moment.
Again, it just speaks the truth of your culture. You're not making it up. Like, no one reacts that way because they feel the need to. You can't fake that kind of a reaction to a result. It's not possible. It's all genuine. Okay, well, that was really cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. I feel like I don't want to say bandwagon, but I'm so like invested in the rugby team. I don't know. I'm just like, you guys
Let's
are really
go.
awesome. Well, first of all, rugby as a sport, y'all are crazy. Like, the things that you guys do out there, I am just like, as a non-contact athlete, in shock. Because it's like, in football you have plays, and in rugby you have plays, right? Like, we have
plays,
but it looks so just like go do.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is like, there's probably like 90% is just go. Like, you just have to play what you see and just play. And then there's plays but it's not this. Yeah, not the same as football. We're like whispering the play every time that everybody like knows it's
like
what's happening.
double down 42-5, like that kind of whatever.
It's a lot of reacting with each other. Like you have to react to your teammate and what they're doing and just like play with each other, which is why team cohesion is so important, because you have to say yes to whatever it happens in front of you. You always have to say yes. And so it's like this different mindset of, we call it like jouer, which is like kind of French rugby. We call it jouer, where you just have to say yes and just play whatever you see and be open to anything happening.
I would never be able to be good at it. No way. That's awesome. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Okay, so how we want to end this is with like cool things that you do that take us into your world. So the first one is music. You were saying how music totally defines the start of your team and you enjoy it together. Right now, what would be top 3 songs that you as a team listen to or you listen to and you're like, this is currently my jam?
Oof. Our team is very obsessed with Kendrick right now. So I would say Not Like Us and Luther are definitely up there as 2 of our favorite songs. And I don't even know if I have a third right now. Maybe like Dochi or something.
That's
like Nosebleeds probably is something that I'm really into right now, just for like pre-games, because she's a baddie.
Okay, next question. Moments that shape us. So what is a memory or something that you go back to if you need a little like extra push?
Ooh, I think the first year after Tokyo, we had our home tournament that used to be in Langford, like Victoria basically, and we beat USA for the first time with that new team. And that was sick because, well, we were just this inexperienced younger team and they were their experienced team, and we beat them at home, and it was awesome. And that's just like one of the core memories, because that was one of the first like big wins for us as a group. And it was a really cool tournament. So I think about that often.
That is a sick memory. Plus. Yeah. Okay, mindset. So leap forward with a mindset mantra. Do you have a mantra that you use every day or when you need it?
Every day, maybe not, but like in tournaments or like performance time, I always just say to myself, everything you need is within you. You train for this, like you're prepared.
Yes. Everything you need is within you. Tattoo that shit. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like that. It calms me down. It's like, okay, true. Yeah, I have everything. It's just instincts. It's just rugby. So I got it.
100%. Everything you have is within you. Nice. The last question I will ask is, do you have an athlete or someone who has inspired you the most on your journey, in your career?
I mean, there's so many. My best friend, Caroline, who was also part of the Paris team. And when I joined the national team, she was already there, but her and I kind of went through the ranks together. And she ended up not getting selected for Tokyo, and it was really heartbreaking for her, and then found her way back to rugby and then made the Paris team and absolutely crushed it in Paris. And she's just one of the most like authentic, intentional people. And she's just like the exact person that walks the talk. And I think for me as a leader, I don't know if I probably haven't even told her this, because why would I tell her? But like for me as a leader, a lot of when I came back to when I was really struggling is like, what would Caroline do? What would make her proud? If I were to like have anybody that holds me accountable, it's her. And how would she want this to be done? Or like, what would make her proud? So she's somebody that really inspires me. And she's like, well, she's my best friend. So she's awesome.
That's awesome. I've only ever heard, what would my competition want me doing? And then doing the opposite of it. But having a teammate and say like, what would make them proud as a teammate is huge. I like that we're ending that way. How lovely.
I'll have to tell her that one day, but it's fine. One day eventually, maybe.
That's awesome. I just feel like you just dropped so many like insightful, fascinating things about rugby, but also just Team Canada rugby, which I care a lot more about than general rugby. Because I think that everyone should be engaged and be in touch with what you're doing and the ferocity that is our women's rugby team. So I'm a huge advocate for anything to do with y'all. And yeah, just thank you so much for like taking the time and honestly just doing what you're doing for Team Canada on behalf of Team Canada. I would like to say that.
Thank you, Jenny. I mean, I appreciate you being so curious about our team and about. I think it's really cool. I think our team's really cool, obviously. And I think our story is also really special. So it's cool to be able to talk about it and share it with you and whoever's listening.
Liv, thank you so much for having joined me on the pod. Your honesty, your energy, and the way you lead with your whole self, it's powerful. I know so many people are going to take so much from this conversation. If you love this episode, do me a favor, Go follow Liv, give her some love on socials, let her know what this conversation meant to you and the whole rugby team. If you want more real, raw, inspiring conversations like this, follow at Daylilie_bras on Instagram, and of course, this podcast. Thanks again, and see you next time on Daylilie Diaries.